Folks, the market's had a pretty rough streak of bad news this week, but I'm not buying it, and I don't think the market is either. Let me show you what to do with a bad news market on the weekly update. Okay, friends, let's talk about a market where the news flow just can't get out of its way. What do you do with a bad news market? Here's what you need to know. First up, the market is having a pretty rough streak of bad news at the moment, and what I'm going to do is let's run the gamut very quickly. First up, let's talk about earnings. We're in the middle of earnings season. Earnings aren't great. What I'm showing you here, this is the percentage of S&P 500 companies with fiscal year positive and negative guidance. So this is a good way to say, okay, who's saying things are going to get better and who's saying things are going to get worse? And if you look at this bar here in the middle that I'm highlighting, the S&P 500 itself, we're basically around 50-50. So half the businesses say things are going to get better, half the businesses say things are going to get worse. It's not great. It's pretty low. And it's not just earnings where we see some of this bad news. We can bring up Starbucks, pulled their guide, had a really rough quarter. They say that they are losing occasional customers. They're shrinking right now. It's a business in disarray. Not great. Not a good read on the economy either. McDonald's, you know how I love to talk about McDonald's. The French fry stocks, the potato stocks. Well, McDonald's, got a little unlucky here. A little bit of an E. Coli outbreak happening at McDonald's. It was good enough to send the stock down 8% after hours. Not good. Not great. And then, of course, the market's favorite poster child, its favorite whipping boy, we can talk about Boeing. No shortage of woes there. A Boeing-built satellite broke up earlier this week, so it's now space junk floating around the world. And of course, the aerospace machinists are on strike. Hopefully that ends soon, but it's costing Boeing dearly. Boeing has some pretty rough earnings. So yeah, things are pretty tough right now. It can feel as though there is a deluge of bad news right now, and certainly there is. But I want to be careful about getting too ahead of us. In fact, this week, I actually didn't want to talk about bad news, so I was looking for a positive story anywhere. It just wasn't coming. So that's why instead we're going to do, how do we process all this bad news coming? And I'm starting to see it now from the clients. I'm getting some inbound where people are saying, hey, should we sell out? I'm getting nervous here. What's going on with the market? I want to be defensive, all that sort of stuff. So here's what I'll tell you. Narrative is one way of processing. And when I say narrative, what I mean is the journalists, the stuff happening, the articles being written. That's one way of processing in finance, but it isn't the only way. There's actually a better way of processing, which is to process financially, to look at the actual dollars and cents. And that actually gives us a very different picture. So what I will tell you is the news is bad, but that shouldn't be news to you. The news has been bad for my entire lifespan. Is there something else we can look towards that tells us that things aren't that bad? And yes, there is. What we can look towards is the market itself. One of the reasons why I split up the channel where we do a news review and then a markets review every week is that those are the two ways that you can process what happens in the market. The news review gives you the narrative. Narrative is terrible right now. But if we look financially at what's happening in the market, what people are actually doing with their money, what is actually occurring in the financial system, guys, we just had all-time highs last week. Is that ever bad? No. We've got fantastic returns this year, and I think it's probably going to maintain, particularly once we get to the other side of the election. So what the financial processing tells us is, yeah, narrative is bad. You run into these streaks of bad luck here and there, but I wouldn't be losing any sleep over it anytime soon. In fact, the market looks extremely strong, confidence-inspiring, productive here. We've got great returns, and it doesn't look like we're giving them back anytime soon. So yeah, there's some bad news. That's okay. That keeps us on our toes. You only really get in trouble when you sort of think that things are really great when they aren't. And so the fact that we have so much muck and mire right now is actually positive. So what does it all mean? What to do with a bad news market? Well, market's having a pretty notable streak of bad news right now. These streaks have happened before. They will happen again on and on until the end of time. This is nothing unusual. And as always, I warn against getting carried away with headlines. I've got no love lost for journalists, particularly financial journalists. So you want to be careful not to get too carried away with narrative. A good reality check is to look at what the market has been doing. The market has been extremely productive. And so what that means to me, if you really want to, say what the inside financial take is, it means that much of this bad news has already been priced in. All of that stuff back in September when the market was falling out of a window, that was the market saying, uh-oh, we're going to hit a soft patch here. Now that the report card is coming through and we're seeing, we didn't make straight A's this semester, that's okay because the market was already braced for it. So we're in a deluge. Does it end this week, next week, the following week? I'm not entirely sure. But what I do know is when I look through the lens of financial processing, it's not that bad. I'll see you this weekend for the markets review. Take care. Okay, friends, that was the video. Hope you liked it. If you found it informative, good, entertaining, I'd love if you could scroll down here beneath the video and give me a like there. It helps us out with the algorithm. And then if you want to be notified first of anything new that we upload to the channel, if you come over here, click subscribe, you'll be the first to know as soon as we upload anything. Appreciate it. See you soon.